Way hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another booty video. This one is for the month of February 2024, and as I'm filming this right now, it is May of 2024, so I do apologize for the long wait to showcasing this stuff that came in or we acquired during the month of February, but a lot of stuff has happened over the last little while in my personal life, so a lot of stuff got put on the back burner, excuse me, and I'm only now just getting time to actually film some of this stuff and put it out there, and I'll explain what that is in the end of the April booty video, because I felt like I don't normally talk about personal things on the channel, but I feel that this one was a little bit important, so I'll save it for the April booty video. But February was a big month. Like a lot of stuff acquired mostly through sales or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing. So the first item I mentioned in the January booty video, which was this thing that was going to help me, at least in some capacity, play online better, and I picked it up. Was looking for basically a gaming headset so that I could communicate with, some of my friends on Xbox Live. And I bought a Biogenic, I guess it's an online kit, but the first thing and the most important thing it comes with is a gaming headset. So this one is by Biogenic, and it comes with a built-in microphone, and it's really nice. And you plug it into your Xbox One controller. But it also came with thumb grips and I guess you can call it a protective skin for the controller itself. Now, I didn't put the thumb grips on, but I did put the skin on, so it's just like a little a grip, I guess is what you call it, so that if you're getting into intense battles, it doesn't, fly out of your hands, if you will. But it's just a kind of like a skin that goes over the controller. See, it's just rubber. It goes over the controller, but there are thumb grips that you can put onto the rotating sticks and stuff if you want. I did not put that. There's also a battery, a rechargeable battery that you can put into the controller in place of the two AA batteries. So they also come with this, that you can go in that. So that was the primary thing I went to GameStop for that time. But lo and behold, when you look into the other areas of the store, that being the bargain bin, and because GameStop doesn't just carry gaming games and game accessories, they also started venturing forth into, Funko Pops and figures and anime figures and stuff like that. So I stepped on a landmine there. So the first landmine, obviously, in the bargain bin, because I was specifically going for looking at the Xbox stuff, I decided to pick up some games that I played before when I used to have an Xbox One. So I picked up four. Bloodstained Betrayal of the Night, which was a Kickstarter project. You probably have heard Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which is kind of a prequel to this game. But this was released on all platforms. So you got the Switch, you got PS4, and you got Xbox One. So this is kind of like the spiritual successor to Castlevania, and because Konami don't do anything their fans want them to do anymore. So apparently the designer on this game used to be on the production team for Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. So definitely worth a look if you are a classic Castlevania fan. So that's the first one, because there's four. Next one. Oh, that's actually... oh, why not? Halo. Master Chief Collection. Because I signed up for Game Pass, Halo Master Chief Collection was actually one of the games that I was trying out, and I found out that I liked it, even though I did find myself getting a little bit motion sick because I'm not really a veteran to first-person shooter games. I did want to, play the Xbox exclusives, or what Xbox is known for. So I thought I'd start with like the big one, which was Halo, and there's something else coming down related to that. But so far, from what little I've played, and I've played only the first game so far, which I believe is a port of Halo Anniversary Collection, which came out on the originally on the 360. It's pretty good, and I like it. I like the story, and I like the world and the characters, and obviously it's graphically enhanced for the Xbox One. So that was in the bargain bin. Also, Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, which is a spin-off of the Final Fantasy series. It's not really a traditional Final Fantasy, but I think this is the first M-rated title in the actual Final Fantasy series. The first mainline one that was M-rated, I think, was 16, which came out about a year ago or so. But this one was actually the first M-rated title, and it's a unique kind of story, and I liked what I've played of it so far, and hopefully I'll set some time down to actually sit down and go through it properly. And of course, because I'm an anime, even though I don't watch as much anime as I used to, I still like my anime-themed games. This is Code Vein, which is kind of I guess it's also, this is just a common theme with a lot of this stuff, is post-apocalyptic stuff where there's a virus going around and that kind of thing. But very solid title, and again, available also on PS4. Now that was the gaming side, and then of course the thing that is always my weakness is anything that's quintessential quintuplets related. And of course, because GameStop sells figures now, I did find there is a Miku. It's a swimsuit Miku. And of course, this one is really nice. I really like this one. There's an Excuse me, I didn't mean to do that on camera, but I'm going to have an allergy attack soon, I can tell. But yeah, this one, I have a similar figure in this line of Miku, which I believe I bought off of Crunchyroll. But another thing with figures I should probably mention is that I'm kind of cutting down on my pre-orders for figures. It's only like certain ones that I'd, venture to get. Specifically certain characters or certain stuff from certain shows, like QQ is probably, that's a new name for a QQ. It's probably one of the essential series for me, at least in terms of figures, and I didn't even know that I missed one that came out, so I'm a little bit pissed about that. So I'm trying to find a way to get one of the sisters that I missed. So, well, that kind of shit does happen from time to time. So, especially when Good Smile is changing over from one site to a new site. Their new site is completely active now, but your archive, or if you will, or your sales or your purchase history is still on an old link, and that's where a lot of the stuff I'm waiting for to come in is still active on that site, or stuff that has come in is still on that site. I haven't ordered anything off of the new site yet, or pre-ordered anything, or reserved anything. So I might, because there is one, what day is it? It's May the 5th, which is the Nakano sister's birthday today. So happy birthday to the Nakanos. But there is a nanodroid of Mara and Kitagawa from My Dress Up Darling, as well as the main character Gojo. That comes, like the pre-orders end for them in 3 days. So I'm thinking, should I bite the bullet and reserve this? It comes out in September, so I might decide to do that. That's really the only one that's interests me a little bit, because I've already invested in the show and I kind of like it. But anyway, so that's a perfect example of how you go for one thing and then you start looking around and then you get in trouble. Anyway, the next one was a planned one, and I was not really a fan of Demon Slayer before I watched it, I guess at Anime North, and just to see what all the curiosity was, or the hubbub was about, if you will. Of course, that show came out way back in I don't know how many years ago, because it's still ongoing, like the anime portion of it, and I didn't know anything about the characters until I watched it, and then I drew comparisons to Bleach. So obviously the Hashira characters are more like the Soul Reapers in Bleach, or the captains, that kind of thing. Or individuals who, you know, have a certain skill and they excel at it. So I'm not really, like, the more I watched Demon Slayer, the more I got interested and liked all of the characters, so much so that it's like QQ, that I'd like to, you know, at some point, like if there's a character that I see, like, you know, in a microplay or in a GameStop, and I like the character and the figure, the quality is good, I might buy that figure. So, but it always, for me, if I have no knowledge about an anime and I see a character and I like the design, specifically it's a female character, this is a theme, I'll gravitate towards that character and try to find out what the name of the character is, what show they're from, and do they have any figures. I just like that character. And if it's artwork of the character, and I'm not ashamed to say this, that if there is like hentai of that character, or H art, or erotic type art of the character, and I like the design of the character, and then I will investigate the character and then the show eventually. That's how I learned about the show Amaji Brilliant Park, which is actually a very good show. I really like that. It just goes to show you put anything on the internet, Rule 34. It's gonna happen. But this is my first, and to date, I think it's my only Demon Slayer figure, and it's a Nanodroid, and it's a Nanodroid of Mitsuri Kanroji, the love Hashira, if you will. Now she's kind of, I don't want to say a ditzy airhead character, but she has a purpose, and she's very driven, but she's also very kind, and I like that Kira Buckland was the voice actress who voices her in the dub of the show, which that's the majority of what I've been watching on Crunchyroll, is the dub of Demon Slayer as opposed to the sub. But yeah, I really liked the design of her character, how she's got like such a unique hairstyle, let alone a hairstyle color. And when you look at all of the other Hashira, none of them, well, because sometimes, you know, certain colors can be used to illustrate something. So for example, shades of purple go well with black. So you would think that Shinobu, for example, her hair is purple, but no, in reality it's black. It's just that's like the shade or the light hitting it to make it look, but hers is actually pink. So she's actually the only real Hashira, at least to my knowledge, that has a unique hairstyle and a unique color. So, and usually the ones that, you know, look kind of a bit weird, a little bit odd, those are the characters that stand out for me. So there's that. The next item is a anime related item, and I've decided to put it actually in the whole box itself because I originally got the first half of the first season a while back, but this is together. This is all of season 1 of Spy Family, and what came was part 2. And I must admit, though, anime stuff, like at least videos. Okay, here you go. So part 2 of season 1, and there's the actual one with Yor in the back. I did an unboxing video for this a while back, and it came with some really cool extras. So normally with certain shows, I've noticed it used to be the old way was that the first part would be the part that came with the box, or the art box to hold the other part. But now it seems to be that the limited edition is always the second part. So that's the part. So the first part was just this, and then the second part of the season came with the box and the extras. And this is also one of the things I paid off with my points from work. So I basically paid it off and got it for free. And when I looked at the actual invoice, I guess if you will, from Amazon on, like, when it's shipping and handling and all that stuff, it was over $100 for the limited edition. And most of the time these days, that isn't uncommon with anime releases. Like, it used to be so much cheaper, but inflation has made things so much more expensive, especially with the last 4 years with, or I should say the last 3 years, because the pandemic is declared over, but COVID is still a thing. But for the most part, most of the stuff that I used to wait or pre-order it, and it would go down after time. Like, if you held on to your pre-order on Amazon, it would eventually decrease in price and you'd get it for cheaper and save some money. And that includes, I think that includes games too, I'm not too sure, but I know for anime stuff it used to happen, but lately it hasn't been happening so much, so it's just quoted as the price you find it. Sometimes if you cancel it, it'll go up for you. I don't know what Amazon is doing, but not too nice. But a lot of the anime stuff I'm very selective of now. If I haven't seen it or I really enjoyed it on watching it through Crunchyroll, then I wouldn't invest in it. You know what I mean? So that's just the show itself. It doesn't have to be watching it entirely dubbed, or it's the entity of the show itself. So if I watch this show and I really liked it, that I want to own it, I might investigate when that's coming out. And releases are not as frequent as they used to be. It takes a lot longer for to put that together and put it out there with what's coming. So and obviously with the shift and change, Crunchyroll is basically now the new Right Stuff, because Crunchyroll bought the rights to Right Stuff. So I always go on there every Tuesday and Friday to look at any new pre-orders that have come out, and I don't generally order off of Crunchyroll so much, only if something is unique to them or you can only get it there. So something that might be like Aniplex, even though I hate Aniplex, or a certain show that was released by a certain studio, because Crunchyroll may have the majority of the shows, at least in the streaming sense of things, but there's little ones that are only on High Dive, there's only ones that are on Prime, that kind of thing. So, and there are those that are there that you can watch them, but they're never going to release a physical release of it. But with Crunchyroll, if the show in question, because now that Funimation has kind of rebranded themselves as Crunchyroll, at least internationally, if I can find that show on, say, Amazon, you can get it cheaper, for one thing, because you can obviously get free shipping and that kind of thing. With me being where I am, it's not really an advantage to pre-order the same thing, even though it's like, you get it quicker. It's only advantageous if you live in the United States, basically. You get free shipping on $50 worth of stuff. If you're Canadian like me, you get free shipping at $250 stuff. But with Amazon Prime, I get it free shipping at $25. So pick your poison, I guess. Next one, because punk ass bitch really loves Dark Souls, and we were talking about the history of the series and whatnot, and like the developers and whatnot. I remember this was one of the launch titles for the PS5, and it looked cool, but I knew absolutely nothing about it. Like, as in that it was related to the Dark Souls franchise, because if I'm not mistaken, I didn't remember when the original version of this game came out, but a remaster was made for the PS5. It's originally a PS3 game, and I was one evening on a Friday at Microplay, and I was just looking around at stuff, hoping to find, a limited run release, because some people do carry limited run games, and I'm looking for specific titles, because there's no way in hell I'm ever going to pre-order from limited run ever again, because I do not believe in a pre-order that I'm paying up front for. Because every other place in the entire world, at least where I pre-order stuff, figures, anime, games, I don't pay up front. I pay when you ship it to me, and that's a pay first, get it. But I think that's also because limited run runs on how many copies they'll make. Like they have a template, and then if we get 5,000 of these, okay, now we got to make 5,000 of these. That's why they close the window for the pre-order, so you can't get it anymore. We make a whole bunch of them, and then we ship them out 5, 8 a year later, which is really the shitty part about limited run, is that you wait so long for something that you paid for like months ago. So this isn't a tangent about limited run, but I was in that store because they carry some of the stuff when it came out, and they didn't have what I was looking for, and I was just browsing around, and then I said, well, this isn't a bad deal. So Demon Souls, I guess it's a remaster, originally a PS3 game, and okay, known for notoriously dying all the time. So this is actually one of the first games that Riley picked up. Riley, punk ass bitch, picked up when we went to our first Toronto Gaming Expo, which was last year, the last one, which was the very first one was in February or March of 2023. I forget, because we've actually gone to the March one for this year. So, and the stuff for that is going to be in the March booty video. But yeah, he picked that up because our first impressions of the con at that time were they only focus on the retro stuff, because I remember I had pre-ordered Ulterior Ryza 3 for the Switch, and Amazon damaged it on the way it shipped to me, so they gave me a refund, and I'm like, I'm fucking waiting for this game, and now I don't have it. So then that was happening on that weekend. We went there, it was cold and rainy, we waited outside for almost an hour before we got into the expo, and then when I was going up and down the tables after I warmed up a bit, couldn't find jack shit. And then, lo and behold, the very last table was where we found the current gen stuff. So I found Ulterior Ryza 3, and he found Demon Souls. And then I found a table that had anime figures and Miku stuff, and then all my money went out the window after that. So I'm very careful when I venture around on that. But since then, it's gotten bigger, it's gotten better, at least in terms of not only vendors, but how they operate the thing. So now we don't wait, and they didn't anticipate, because it was their first one, they didn't anticipate how popular it would be, of a draw it would be. So now there's procedures on how to deal with the crowd and all that. So now we don't wait so much. So it's very good. They've definitely improved a lot. Bravo, Toronto Game Expo. So this one, sales. When sales happen, and it's a really good deal, especially when it's still kind of at full price. If you get 50% off of something, yeah, that's always a good deal. And it's, lo and behold, it's this series I love. And I haven't played all of the games in it, but the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection on PS4. This is the only Mega Man Legacy Collection that I own both copies, or all of the copies, or all versions, so as in on all platforms. So for some reason the Battle Network series was not released for the Xbox console, which I think is stupid, because all of the other ones were released on the Xbox. This one's only available on the Switch and the PS4, which is kind of stupid, because Xbox, I think, is really getting the short end of the stick with some of these games that come out multi-platform. Like if you release Switch only and PS4 and Switch only, and then not the Xbox. I really hate that, and I really hate if they make a the only thing that kind of is weird is that if they make an Xbox version and a PlayStation version, then sometime down the road they'll make a Switch version. So think of Biomutant. Biomutant came out for the PS4 and Xbox One originally, and then obviously with PlayStation you upgraded to a PS5 version, which exists, and now the Switch version is coming out. But originally, when the game was supposed to come out the first time, because it was one of those delayed games, there was a Switch version to the works, and then that never came to, it got pseudo put on hold or canceled, and then they just released the PlayStation and the Xbox version. So, but Battle Network, kind of like Mega Man meets Pokemon. And this was before I got into the Pokemon series. But I really, really love the whole battle aspect of it. Like, it's an RPG, and you have to collect different battleships in order to produce different attacks. And obviously, in the later games, you could get the different souls, if you will. So that means you can inherit the powers of the classic characters, at least in this universe, because obviously this is a different universe or timeline from the original series. But yeah, great series. The only gripe I have about the Battle Network Legacy Collection, again with some of the classic and the X series, is it doesn't include those other games. So for example, if we take Mega Man, like the classic Mega Man, so you get your numbered 1 to 10, 11, whatever, because 11 was recent. But there was thinking about Mega Man and Bass, which is kind of before Mega Man. Is it before Mega Man 8 or after Mega Man 8? It's before Mega Man 9 for sure, because it uses the graphical style of Mega Man 8, but it was just a one-off spin-off kind of thing, but the same kind of formula, but not a numbered title. And that was not included in the Mega Man Legacy Collection. Also, the Game Boys, the Game Boy collections, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, were never included in the collection. And I thought that was a lazy thing to do, because if you're trying to recreate the vibe of the character or the legacy of the character, maybe that's why it's called the Legacy Collection, because this was all in a build-up to the hype of Mega Man 11 being released. Get all the games, because, you know, now with the 3DS shop is closed now, we can't play those games anymore. And to own a physical copy of it is damn expensive, especially the 5th title. So I would have thought they would have put the I must apologize because there's this thing, an attack of the shit. There is this thing, like, why didn't you include that? That just makes total sense in the Mega Man X sense of things. Extreme 1 and 2 on the Game Boy Color, let alone Command Mission, which was the kind of like Final Fantasy X RPG, but in the style of Mega Man X, and that game was totally awesome. I love it. It's great. And that one was not included in the X Legacy Collection. You just got the numbered titles. The only Legacy Collection that is somewhat covers all the bases and all the games was the Zero series, the Zero and ZX Collection, because there were only 4 Zero titles, and then there was the 2 ZX titles, and those are all included on that. Great, it's perfect. Now, with Battle Network, you had Battle Network Transmission, which takes place between Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2, and is on the GameCube, and it's a GameCube exclusive. There's that game. There's a different version of 4, like a 4.5 or something like that could have been included on this. And these are all Game Boy Advance games on this collection. Now, I would have thought that Star Force, this is the other gripe, was that Star Force collection, which the games are on 3DS, or no, DS, sorry, they're stupid expensive now. They're like hard to come by. And Star Force is kind of like in the vein of Zero and ZX, how they're kind of related. Like with the ZX is like 1,000 years in the future or whatever from the Zero series. With ZX, I mean with Star Force takes place, I don't know how far into the future, but it's along the same timeline as the Battle Network series. And there were only 3 games in the Star Force series, to my knowledge. But of course, this is kind of like the Pokemon thing, like you have 3 versions or 2 versions of the same thing. The only unique one was the first game. The first game, Mega Man Star Force, was, they had 3 versions. They had Pegasus, they had Leo, and they had Dragon. And Dragon, I think, was an exclusive to like a store or something, like GameStop or something like that. And then 2 and 3, they only had 2. So that kind of like the traditional Pokemon formula. So I have no idea like what Capcom is planning to do, if they plan to release a Star Force collection, but it kind of wouldn't make sense to just bundle it with this. Like I didn't see why, for example, Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is the 8-bit Mega Man, had to be split into 2 parts. Like, you could have literally fit all of the games on one disc or one release. That's just, like, I mean, they got all of the X on one release. They just put it on 2 discs, or I think that's what they did, if I remember. But yeah, like, that didn't make sense to me. Like, I love it, but, and it's 50% off and great, but that didn't make sense to me. I'm really sorry because this video is going really long, but, you know, there was a lot of shit that came out in February, and this thing that I'm experiencing right now is hindering me, so, especially in the talking department. But this next set of stuff, obviously, this is from the Guelph Gaming the swap, as they call it. And what's great about the gaming swap now is that we used to pay, I think, about it was $5 or $10 to like go to the show, and then you can buy everything. So now, because it's kind of popular and it's local, they decided that the $10 would go towards the early bird, if you wanted to go earlier, like an hour earlier, to, you know, get dibs at the best stuff, or everybody has their table set up and then you have first crack at it. And then people who come at the normal time, or 11 o'clock, would get in for free. I'll take free over $5 anyway, but we were debating, though, if we should go, at least this time, earlier, to like get a better view of what we were looking for. And I didn't really think it was that big of a deal, so we got in for free. But I got everything I basically was looking for this time around. And I only picked up 3 things. One of them I kind of got hosed on when I looked on the app, because you'll find myself, Shay, looking at the app to see what the price is on GameEye of the current value of something. But because we were talking about Halo Master Chief Collection, and because I'm trying to actually not rebuild, but, you know, acquire, you know, unique and iconic Xbox titles, I decided I should probably try it and pick this up. So this is obviously the very first Halo, the one that established the franchise. And I figured, you know, even though I have the graphically superior one, you know, I don't have that many games for my Xbox, and I wanted to change that, so I decided to pick up the original one. My only downside is that I got it for like what the market value says it is, but it had no manual. And that's not really a big thing, because most games, you know, they have tutorials and stuff like that. But I know I can probably pick up a manual for about $6. I mean, the odd thing was that Shay picked up the same game, but I think not a greatest hits title, well, kind of like that, like a game of the year thing or a greatest hits, and his came with a manual and it was the same price. So I was a bit bummed about that. But, you know, I can probably find a manual online, so I have yet to look for that, but I'll probably do that eventually soon. The other one, which was complete at market value, and Shay and I both got this too, Ninja Gaiden Black from the original Xbox. And this, to my knowledge, also works on the Xbox Series X. You can install it there as well as the Xbox One. So this was the, like, I know it's like kind of like the director's cut. Most people consider, who have played the Ninja Gaiden games, at least in the vein of the first game, they consider this to be like the definitive version of the first game. Like, there's changes that were taken out in Sigma and all that kind of thing. So lo and behold, I wanted to see what everyone was talking about, and it's still relatively, like, affordable, so I decided to pick this up, and it was in very, very good condition. So I'm glad I picked that up because I'm such a fan of the series. I do apologize because I really hate this shit going through my, immune system or whatever it's called. And this is the one I got hosed on. That Grand Blue Fantasy. Is this Versus? Yeah, Versus. So this is a fight game. This is not the new one that just came out. So this is a PS4 only thing. And it's the limited edition. And it was going for about 90 or something like that. And then when I looked on the app, it was 60. So this is just the limited edition box of it, and which includes the art book and stuff. The actual game is over on the shelf, and it has a different art book. But I'm glad I picked that up. You're gonna make mistakes like that, when a seller is selling it for way more than it actually is. I think it was about $30 difference. Yeah, but all in all, a good haul from the February Guelph video game swap. This second to last one is, again, one of those sales on Amazon. Great movie. Super Mario Brothers movie. Done by Illumination. The people who did a Despicable Me and the Minion movies. And I really, really enjoyed this. We saw this on opening day. It was actually really good. And I know the whole thing about Chris Pratt being Mario didn't sell a lot of people, but when you watch the film, it's kind of like that was on purpose, and he actually does a pretty good job. The movie itself was enjoyable, and I think it's touted as being one of the most successful, if not the most successful, video game movie adaptation of all time. So there is that. And what's cool is that there's a Blu-ray copy as well as the 4K on that. Now, this is the very last one. I'm sorry. This is the very, very last one. And it is the big one. I got it for free, which is even more awesome because, again, this was the last item I paid with for my points. The release date, you probably know what this is. The release date was February the 29th. I felt like shit on February the 29th. It has a massive file size of 145 gigs to install it. And because I felt like shit on February 29th, which was month end, I worked. I didn't work the extra. I only worked my 8 hours that day. I took a sick day on March 1st. I sudo installed it on the PS5 the day before. It wasn't done when I came to on March 1st and was feeling a little bit better. But again, I waited, and I always wait till there's the install of when you can actually start and play the game, and then there's the full install. So I waited till the full install, and I woke up at almost 10, and it wasn't done installing from the night before. So I in some instances, I think you have to keep the thing on in order for it to install properly. But I installed that, got to start and play it like 2 hours later. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, I'm going to say that this is a very, very, very impressive game. If you played the original, just the lore, the nostalgia, the locale, it's all there. It's all there. But if you are a quote-unquote student of the universe of Final Fantasy VII, you might notice that some things are not in the same flow as they were in the original. And in my opinion, that's fine, because sometimes change is good. And spoiler alert, certain things do not happen as they did in the original, or certain places aren't where they should be in this version. So, spoiler alert, this is an example, but the Temple of the Ancients, for example. The Temple of the Ancients in the original game is in the southeastern part of the world, and it's hidden. And it's hidden from, because at that point in the game, the only transportation you have are the buggy and the tiny Bronco. And the tiny Bronco can't fly. So then you have to use it basically as a boat to navigate the waterways. And you can't go into deep water, obviously. So you have to navigate certain areas until you can find the crevice where it's hidden. And it's in the southeastern part of the world. In Rebirth, or the remake series, the temple is located on the northern continent. And in the original, it's actually standing there originally. In the Rebirth, because obviously the keystone still is the same. The aspect is that the keystone is the key to like finding the temple of the ancients. But maybe because they didn't show that in the original, because the Turks or Shinra got there ahead of you, so they just didn't illustrate the temple being, it was not there, and then they show the scene where the Turks put the keystone on the pedestal, and then the temple forms, like it comes together, all the pieces come together, and then it just rises from there, which is really cool. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, there are more good things to say than negative things. If I was to say anything negative about the game, is that I hate card games. Don't get me wrong, Queen's Blood is simple enough and enjoyable, but eventually there comes a point where you just don't understand what the hell happened and how you could be losing. So there's that. Fort Condor, I hate Fort Condor. I hate that the game is timed. For one thing, anything that involves a timer that you have to do in order to achieve an objective that's related to the story, I hate that. Remove that from part 3. That fucking sucks. So that, other than that, like those two things. Oh, and the game is just, the final boss with Sephiroth is notoriously hard. And it took me 3 tries. And I don't mean like individual tries, I meant 3 nights before I came up with a strategy to actually defeat him and kill him. And that was 2 days ago. So I've been playing this thing for 2 months, and I just finished it, like the main story, to unlock hard mode and all the extras and stuff in it. But the battle system, the characters, the themes, everything is great. It's just that it's so big and so open world like that there's so much to look, so much to do. And I get that people want to go through this story and experience the game, but doing all those little extra side things kind of preps your character up and gives them more of a edge. And I haven't obviously unlocked anything because because we know that, God, this sucks, certain things can only be unlocked in hard mode by, like, clearing a chapter in hard mode or defeating a boss in hard mode in order to technically unlock everything, much like Remake. So that was really my only gripe about the game. And with what was going on in the month of March, let alone just being old and tired and getting home from work and being devoted to sports now, that took a while. I honestly can't believe, and I'm going on record saying this, that people completed the game within 2 weeks, let alone platinumed it. You obviously must have a lot of free time on your hands to do that, because there's no way I can see myself platining them at this point. Maybe if I go back and take it slow. Like, some things are best left to be done over a longer period of time. But obviously with a lot of the changes that happened around here, stuff might not be as frequent as it used to be. Hence why this video is only being done now and it's really, really long. But you can't predict like when you're going to get an allergy attack, which is kind of what I'm having, which is why my voice kind of sounds like shit, because I probably got some phlegm in there floating around and shit. And ironically, when I got sick and had to take that sick day, it sucks. Like, you want to play, but you feel like shit, and you shouldn't play. So, but anyway, that is the February Booty video. So thanks very much for sticking to the end of it. I do promise, and this is not a lie, that the March and April videos will not be as long. There's not a lot of stuff in the March and April videos, so they will definitely be a lot shorter. So thanks very much for sticking to the end. Stay beautifully imperfect. Take care of yourselves and each other. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Remember, kindness is king. And y'all, keep up the awesomeness. We will see you on the next one. Take care.